Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, werewolves, the Mongolian death worm. Creatures from out of the mists of time, legends and myths to most, cryptids are either something to be scoffed at or investigated with curiosity. Far too odd to be normal, but with just enough of the familiar to possibly be real. Cryptids lie somewhere in between. As our technology is caught up with our history, can cryptids now be explained by science? Or will they forever remain mythic animals that lurk about the dark corners of our everyday world, reminding us, by their presence, that nature is far stranger than we give her credit for? So grab your gun, put on your safari hat, and join us as we head into the brush in search of the top 3 cryptids you've probably never heard of. Number 1. The Jersey Devil. 1734. Colonial New Jersey, Leeds Point, near the Pine Barrens. Deborah Leeds, known as Mother Leeds to the local Quaker community and her 12 children, discovers that she is pregnant yet again with her 13th child. Crying out in frustration, she curses the child, saying that the devil could take it. 1735. 9 months later, on a night wild with rain, wind, and lightning, Quaker friends and a midwife gather around Mother Leeds to witness the birth of the child. And for a moment it seems that there is another bouncing baby boy joining the burgeoning colony. But as the midwife bent to sever the cord and clean the child off, the assemblage gasped, for the child had changed utterly. Its torso had stretched, becoming similar to that of a kangaroo. Its head was now that of a goat. Small arms with clawed mockeries of human hands, and thin legs ending in cloven hooves waved pitifully for a moment, before, with a fearsome shriek, the abomination unfurled leathery, bat-like wings. It lunged at the midwife, tearing out her throat, before staring at the frightened onlookers. Blood dripping from its fangs and claws, it thrashed a long forked tail madly about the room, before finally escaping up the chimney, still shrieking hellishly. It flapped heavily into the air, circling the village, before finally disappearing into the depths of the Pine Barrens. The townsfolk buried their dead, shook their heads over the strange experience, and prayed to never see the strange creature again. It was easy to ignore the disappearance of a few livestock over the next 5 years. It was easy to blame foxes for the rash of dead chickens found killed, apparently purely for the fun of it. At the end of 1739, when the village children began to vanish, they knew that their prayers had been in vain. Traps were set for the devil, baited with local livestock. Traps were either ignored or found still set, but with the bait inexplicably missing. Mobs were formed to hunt for the beast and to search for the children. Nothing was ever found save a few gruesome bloodstains and bits of hair. When their own strength and ingenuity could not save them, the people turned to faith. In 1740, a local clergyman performed the ritual of exorcism, casting out the unholy spawn of Satan for 100 years and stopping the killing sprees. But only for 100 years. 1835. Bordentown, New Jersey. Joseph Bonaparte, brother of Napoleon Bonaparte and former King of Spain, is hunting on his estate lands when he spies the fresh tracks of a strange creature in the winter snow. A skilled hunter, Bonaparte examines the tracks closely. They appeared to be the tracks of a 2-legged donkey, with one foot slightly larger than the other. Clutching his gun tightly, Bonaparte follows the tracks for some distance before they abruptly end in the middle of an open field. The snow was undisturbed, save for his own prints and the strange tracks. Before Bonaparte can take in the full oddity of the situation, he hears a strange hissing noise coming from directly behind him. Turning about, he finds himself face to face with a large winged creature with the face like a horse and legs like a bird. For the space of a few heartbeats, The man and the beast stare into each other's eyes. Who knows what they saw, but the creature suddenly hissed in anger. Beating its wings, the creature flies rapidly away, leaving a dazed and shaken Joseph Bonaparte with a strange tale to tell. Regaling his guests over dinner that evening, Bonaparte was informed by a local that he had just had an encounter with the Jersey Devil. Number 2. Chupacabra. March 1995. Puerto Rico. 8 sheep are discovered dead, each with 3 fang marks puncturing the chest. Each sheep is completely drained of blood. August. Canovanas resident Madeline Tolentino is awoken by her mother, who is extremely excited and alarmed by something that she says she saw near their house. Rushing downstairs, Tolentino sees a 4-foot-tall, green reptile-like creature with spines protruding from its back, staring at her through her living room picture window. She stares back, amazed at the black-eyed creature, and stands in shock for several minutes, before it turns, runs into the road, and disappears into a tall stand of grass in the neighboring vacant lot. In the following months, over 150 local farm animals and pets are reportedly killed, all found drained of blood. Soon reports of Chupacabra are pouring in from other countries, including Argentina, Chile, Colombia, El Salvador, Brazil, Mexico, and finally, the United States. July 2004. Ranchers near San Antonio, Texas, kill a hairless dog-like creature which had been attacking their livestock. The corpse is later determined via DNA testing to be that of a coyote with sarcoptic mange. In October, 2 more mysterious corpses are discovered, but farm animals still continue to die. 2006. Farmer Regley Lago of Coleman, Texas, is frustrated with whatever has been killing his chickens and turkeys. Setting a trap, Lago returns the next day to find he has captured and killed a creature he stated resembled a mix of hairless dog, rat, and kangaroo. Lago gives the corpse to Texas Park and Wildlife officials for identification, but the dead creature's remains mysteriously vanish from custody, leaving Lago to later state that it was caught on a Tuesday and thrown out on Thursday's trash. Curiously, the South American Chupacabra are as Tolentino described, reptile-like beings, whereas in the Mexico and United States sightings, they have primarily been reported as being more dog-like, but twisted and deformed, appearing more like Egyptian jackals than domesticated dogs. Regardless of their appearance, the details of their eating habits remain the same. Their victims are all found drained of blood, usually through 3 triangular puncture marks. What kind of monstrosity could be causing this kind of damage? Are these just the attacks of a few mangy coyotes or wolf-coyote hybrids, a lost or undiscovered species? Or perhaps more sinister, a government genetic project gone awry? This might explain the disappearance of the Lago corpse. Could the government be covering up proof of a genetically engineered reptilian vampire jackal that drinks the blood of sheep, chickens, and pets? Number 3. The Mothman. November 12, 1966. Clendenin, West Virginia. 5 men are digging a grave at a local cemetery when they spot a man-like creature fly over their heads, flitting from tree to tree before finally disappearing from view. The men report that it was man-sized, with giant wings, and resembled a large moth. November 15, 1966. Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Linda McClett are driving just outside of town when they spy a large white creature with glowing red eyes in the road in front of them. Described as a large flying man with 10-foot wings, the creature follows their car for some distance before vanishing in the area of a former World War II munitions plant. Over the next week, others begin to report sightings. Contractor Newell Partridge is awakened by a strange buzzing noise coming from his television set. Outside, he hears his German shepherd barking furiously at something, before ominously falling silent. Grabbing a flashlight and heading outside to investigate, he sweeps the beam back and forth, startled when he catches sight of a creature whose eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. After 2 volunteer firemen described their encounter with a creature looking like a large bird with red eyes, beleaguered Mason County Sheriff George Johnson states that he believes the sightings are due to an unusually large heron. Wildlife biologists from West Virginia University tell reporters that descriptions of the creature match those of the sandhill crane, which can grow to the size of a man with wingspans over 8 feet. The fact that the sandhill crane's migration route does not pass through West Virginia was glossed over. The sightings lasted through all that year and into the next. Over the course of time, hundreds witnessed the strange creature, with sightings all over the area. But the sightings were not all that would affect this riverside community. December 15th, 1967. Rush hour. Traffic fills the lanes of the Silver Bridge, which stretches from bank to bank of the Ohio River. Drivers sip their coffee, impatient at the slow traffic and eager to be in their warm homes eating dinner. Their impatience quickly turns to panic as the Silver Bridge suddenly rocks violently and the sounds of cables snapping and concrete breaking fill the air. Screams soon follow as the bridge utterly collapses, sending the hapless motorists plunging into the icy waters below. 46 die that terrible day, with the bodies of 2 victims never being found. Later investigations showed that a single eye bar in the suspension chain had failed, causing the heavily laden bridge to collapse. Was the rash of sightings of the Mothman creature over the previous year related to the collapse of the Silver Bridge? The creature had been reported following cars. Is it possible that it attacked the Silver Lane Bridge, alighting on the suspension chain and weakening the one critical part, the eye bar, causing the deaths of so many on that bleak December day? But why attack? Was it vengeance for some unknown wrong? Or did the Mothman have another purpose? Not to attack, but to warn. What if the strange creature was not some malicious freak of nature or government experiment, but an intelligent and peaceable being come from elsewhere to warn of the impending bridge collapse? We may never know the real truth, but what we do know is this: that after the collapse of the Silver Bridge on the evening of December the 15th, 1967, the sightings of the Mothman stopped, and the creature, whatever its intentions had been, was never seen again. This brings us to the possible explanations. Number 1. Legends come to life. What if cryptids are exactly what they appear to be? Mythic beasts that have somehow managed to live alongside of us, unnoticed by most. Is it possible that there are entire species that have gone undiscovered, living right under our noses? Scientists are finding new animals across the world at an astounding rate. Could the myths all be true? Does Sasquatch roam the woods? Does Nessie swim in her icy loch? Do unicorns still disguise themselves as white horses, searching for virgin maidens to bond with? What if these creatures have had either the intelligence or animal cunning to hide themselves from us? What happens when we do find them? Number 2. Government genetic experimentation. Since Dolly the sheep first drew breath, and what was science fiction became science fact, we have worried about and debated the morality of playing God with the world around us. As we unlock the genetic code, we face the awesome responsibility of creating new forms of life. As it is common for laboratories to experiment on animal subjects, is it possible that some scientist out there has taken it upon themselves to create hideous genetic hybrids from existing animals? Whether this is to create a new source of organs for transplant, or perhaps for darker motivations such as the creation of an ultimate killing machine. While most governments have strict controls on the newly emerging field of stem cell research and genetic recoding, the scenario is becoming more and more likely with each passing year. We all know that there will always be those administrations willing to ignore or bend the rules. Number 3. Misidentification. We here at Paranormal News Today strive to cover all possible explanations, and usually the simplest explanation tends to be the correct one. Are the masses of witnesses of cryptids simply misidentifying normal animals? As we have moved more and more into cities and left behind the more agricultural existence of our ancestors, our connection to the land and the life it holds has been severed. We are no longer in touch and familiar with the natural world around us as we once were. How many of us have stopped to take a picture of a deer while on vacation, simply because we don't see them wandering around where we live? To us, the deer is a rarity. To locals, it's something to be taken for granted, simply part of their world. How then do we really know what we are viewing when we see something odd? Where is our frame of reference? We live in a world of wonders both gross and subtle. So I ask you, dear viewers, is that long, thin, black creature slinking slowly towards your house right now simply a mange-ridden coyote? We here at Paranormal News Today invite you to investigate further and draw your own conclusions. We thank you for watching PNT and welcome your comments and suggestions for future episodes. Click like, share, or subscribe below to help support us and bring you the stories of the strange, weird, and bizarre that you want to see. I'm your host, reminding you to keep an open mind, because a closed one shuts out the truth.